every family has dysfunction, none other than the British royal family, and we're all awaiting for the release of Prince Harry's memoir. Some excerpts of it have been leaked. They're quite shocking. Joining us now to discuss this even further is British royal journalist Josh Rohm, friend of the program. Josh, thanks for being with us. Okay, so we know Prince Harry has these really big interviews coming up on ITV and CBS's 60 Minutes this weekend to talk about the memoir, but we got a little sneak peek of some of these snippets and excerpts. They're quite explosive. Walk us through some of the most shocking ones.
Yes, absolutely. But first, before I walk you through what he actually says in the interview, I just want to point something out. And that's something that's quite ironic. And that is that during the Netflix documentary, Prince Harry very much criticized the institution and the way in which it worked with the press due to the fact that it worked within a system called the Royal Rota. Now, I think it's worth noting here that in the documentary, Prince Harry and Meghan, they didn't mention the fact that actually also within the Royal Rota are not just some of the tabloids, but are also some of the broadcast networks like ITV, BBC, and Sky News. So I find it very funny and almost in a way quite hypocritical. That Prince Harry would say how much he hates the Royal Rota, but yet would sit down with not just a member of the Royal Rota, but a former royal correspondent, bearing in mind he also pretty much slammed the art of royal correspondence and royal journalism. So I find that point in itself quite hypocritical. But during some of these trailers, he talks about how he might not attend his father's documentary, how he himself is open to reconciliation, but he wants a family. He doesn't want an institution. Yeah. So that was one point that was really emphasized in these interviews. I think it's the same thing that we've heard in the documentary, but it's not a surprise. This is once again Prince Harry making absolutely millions of dollars, millions of pounds, by slamming his family and everything it stands for, bearing in mind his family were the ones who gave him the platform to do so.
Yeah. Josh, so Kensington Palace, Buckingham Palace, they're not commenting on a lot of these revelations. I'm struck by the fact, and this is really a scorched earth policy on the part of Prince Harry, divulging some of these very internal details of family disagreements. And Prince Harry would say he just wants the truth out there, and we can argue about what that means, and is this kind of the best format, the best way for him to speak his truth. But these are very, very personal details. The memoir entitled Spare is coming out in the next couple of days. One of the key passages in it details this pretty shocking and physical fight between both brothers, Prince Harry and Prince William.
Yes, absolutely. Well, when it comes to the palaces, none of the palaces speaking out. They're obviously, the royal family's motto has always historically been never complain, never explain. And the palace is taking the higher ground. If they were to speak it out, I know a lot of people kind of would view this almost like a concession. They want to take the higher ground in this. It's very clear that the royal family view this as a private matter, and it is a private matter, or at least it should be a private matter, because what Prince Harry is saying are extremely personal details. These are very personal attacks. So what Prince Harry is alleging when it came to the physical fight, he is saying that there was an incident in Nottingham Cottage back in 2019. William wanted to confront Harry about the rolling catastrophe. I think that was a quote. It might be something along those lines. Again, I haven't seen the leaked, I haven't seen the book there, so there are some leaked passages, but I'm taking everything currently with a pinch of salt until I actually read the book. But there have been passages talking about how Prince William arrived at Nottingham Cottage, piping hot, apparently was a quote, already piping hot. He wanted to confront Prince Harry about their relationship with the press, and he reportedly called his wife rude, difficult, abrasive. He reportedly grabbed Harry by the collar and knocked him to the ground, and on impact, Prince Harry cracked a dog bowl. He lied there motionless whilst some of the pieces from the dog bowl cut into him. And Prince Harry apparently in the book says that he didn't initially tell his wife about this incident. He went to his therapist first and wasn't actually going to tell Meghan Markle about the incident, but it all came out once Meghan Markle discovered the bruises and scratches on his back. And apparently she wasn't even angry, she was just sad. And actually, I think, well, I will give Meghan credit where credit's due. I think the whole country, yes, of course, there's obviously anger here due to the fact that these are very damaging accusations towards the royal family, not so much in the UK, but I think on a global scale, it's damaging their standing worldwide. You know, we spoke about the Tom Bradbury interview with ITV. One of the trailer clips shows the journalist asking Harry whether or not he believes in a monarchy. So for a British journalist, a former royal correspondent no less, asking a prince of the realm whether he actually believes in monarchy as a concept, I think that speaks volumes. Yeah. But again, I digress. Giving credit with Meghan, credit where credit's due, I think that's what a lot of the country are feeling right now. They're not just feeling anger, they're feeling sad at this, because these are two brothers, two loved members of the royal family, two of Diana's sons that this country loved and protected and kind of made their own. We felt almost ownership of them, and we wanted to be there for them and comfort them. To see them at such loggerheads, to see Prince Harry describe William as his arch enemy, describing his baldness, saying his resemblance to their mother has faded. These are such personal attacks.
Very much so.
Attacks.
Yeah. And you know, this is all ahead of King Charles III's coronation in May. There's going to be other, high profile royal events. But I'm struck by the fact, because you've covered the royal family for so long, and they're notoriously quite secretive. They don't divulge details willingly by themselves to the public, to tabloids, to interviewers. Harry is doing all of this as a member of the royal family still, not a working one. But he's willfully kind of throwing all of his family members under the bus there, most notably his brother, Prince William. We also got insights into his thinking regarding that, major scandal when he wore a Nazi costume for Halloween. He also details cocaine use when he was a teenager. He describes in the memoir when he lost his virginity. Things you don't hear from a member of the royal family, from their own mouths at all. I'm struck by that.
Yes, and especially with the Nazi uniform that became a national scandal, and understandably so. He alleges that Prince William and then Kate actually encouraged him to wear that uniform. And let's not forget, these are details that actually wouldn't have come out if it wasn't for Prince Harry. Nobody really knew some of these details before. This is Prince Harry throwing his family under the bus, because what he says to Anderson Cooper in the CBS interview, he says that actually behind the scenes, his family were briefing members of the press against him. What strikes me during this interview is we're seeing Prince Harry have this real victimhood mentality. He's not seeing the bigger picture of how the institution works, or at least if he is doing that, he has a long-standing resentment against the institution for the way in which it works. But he's accusing his own family of throwing him under the bus. So I think almost this is almost like his revenge almost. This is like, well, I'm going to get my family back. I'm going to tell my truth. And I don't think this is necessarily, beneficial. I mean, I will give it to him here. He is telling his truth. He is giving actually more details than have been shown before in previous interviews, like the Oprah interview, the documentary with Harry and Meghan. Meghan, again, giving Meghan credit where credit's due. She hasn't been saying half of this stuff. I mean, all of these accusations that Harry's saying about his family, about how Camilla would leak minute details about conversations with both Prince William and himself to the press. There's so much bad blood in what Prince Harry's saying that we wouldn't have known before if it actually wasn't for Prince Harry. And it's very clear that he wants to almost get his family back for what he describes as, well, and he alleges, it's not proven by the way, that his family have been briefing against him. But again, it's very self-centered. It's a very self-centered thing. And, this book, $20 million advance, ghost written, it wasn't even written by Harry, it was ghost written by a Pulitzer Prize winning author, J.R. Moehringer. So it's just so much of this just speaks volumes. Prince Harry is coming across as bitter, as spiteful. I really don't think, the last time I was on this program, I said the bridge has been burned. I mean, it hasn't just been burned, it's been set ablaze with petrol bombs.
It seems like there are some, scores that are being settled here on full display. And part of that $1 million advance, multi-million-dollar advance, some of the proceeds of the memoir will go to charity as well. Josh, my last question, though, for you. Do you see a reconciliation in the near or distant future at any point? It doesn't seem like it.
Yes, well, I find it very interesting that Harry is using these interviews after writing this incredibly inflammatory book towards his family, and incredibly, damaging books. And he is very clearly trying to damage their reputation globally. But he's using this platform to kind of call for reconciliation, bearing in mind he's the one that's doing all the damage. It reminds me a bit, as some of also my journalism colleagues have also brought up in the press recently, almost reminds me a little bit of Thomas Markle, how Thomas Markle would try and use the press to call for reconciliation, but Meghan Markle and Prince Harry wouldn't be having it, but yet Prince Harry is using those same tactics. I mean, listen, Prince Harry did say the ball is in their court. Prince Harry says he hopes that they can have a frank and open discussion about this. Prince Harry hopes that they can come to the table, but also Prince Harry wants an apology, and I'm not sure if the royal family are necessarily going to give him an apology, bearing in mind the damage that he's actually done to them. It's very clear that he wants to metaphorically, so to speak, set this institution ablaze. And even if he was to make up with the royal family, the damage has been done. I'm genuinely not sure if the British people will welcome him back into this country in the same way that they did before, especially not with the coronation, because bearing in mind, certain procedures at the coronation, certain in the ceremony, he would have to swear his allegiance to King Charles III. And I think this book is the complete opposite of swearing allegiance. This is a case of, I mean, even though the reports are saying that King Charles, he won't necessarily come across as badly as people expect him to, it's still incredibly damaging, especially because, when Prince Harry is speaking about themes of being the spare, right at the beginning of the book, he reportedly says about Prince Charles at the time, speaking to Diana, apparently it's, quote, "Wonderful. Now you've given me an heir and a spare. My work here is done." And Prince Harry also jokes, or not jokes, Prince Harry writes about how King Charles, then Prince Charles, reportedly jokes how he might not even be his father. So yes, although King Charles might not necessarily come across as badly as some people might be expecting, so to speak, it's still very, very, very damaging to the royal family and their standing globally.
Yeah. Josh Rohm, as always, we appreciate your insight, your reporting into these matters. We'll definitely be speaking again. Thanks, Josh.
Cheers, Andrew.